So far I've caught over 250 different shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so I thought it'd be interesting to do something different and base my hunts off the cards I pack in a bunch of Paldean Fates booster packs. Not only will I hunt them, but I'll use them to take on the new and improved Academy Ace tournament. Paldean Fates is the newest shiny set in the Pokemon TCG and primarily focuses on Pokemon from the Paldea region. Here are all the shiny cards that I packed from the Paldean Fates set. Shiny Pelipper, Shiny Shinx, Shiny Greedent, Shiny Great Tusk, and somehow 2 shiny Pawmi. Not exactly the best team in the world, but it'll be very interesting to see if I can take on the tournament and actually win with those 2 Pokemon in my team. Let's get hunting. The first hunt, I thought it would be easiest to head down to a location that has a combination of the first 3 Pokemon I needed to hunt. Pawmi, Pawmi 2, and Shinx. Now, these 3 Pokemon are some of my favourite shinies in the game, but Pawmi is not the easiest to hunt due to its small size, so let's pray I can get these 3 quickly. I originally thought it would be easier to get an outbreak of either Shinx or Pawmi by constantly resetting my game. Unfortunately for me, no matter where I stood or how many times I reset, I could never get the outbreak.
One eternity later.
So instead I caved and went to the old reliable method of sandwich hunting. So for this sandwich, I used a level 3 electric sandwich, which meant that I could hunt for both Pawmi and Shinx at the same time, and after about 2 hours, I finally got my yellow boy. Even luckier, we got a shiny Shinx with a mark, and I captured it in an Ultra Ball to match them together. Shinx ended up having the Vigor mark, which gave him the title of Lively. This was a mark I hadn't found before, and I was super excited as it was one of my favourite shinies in the game. Now that Shinx was out of the way, it was time to get my duo of Pawmi. After resetting a few times, I finally had some luck and got a Pawmi outbreak. Unfortunately for me, that is where the luck ended. I cleared the 60 Pokemon and searched and searched and searched, but I still never found the pinkish red mouse. I turned to the trusty sandwich, but not even that could help me. It was incredibly frustrating to hunt as they hide in the grass and are hard to see when moving around, so I kept accidentally running into them, which got me even more frustrated, until it finally happened. This wasn't even a sandwich boost, which I couldn't believe. At this point, I'd made over 10 sandwiches and finally found the lucky shiny without one. I made sure to save so there was no way I could fail and lose the shiny. Lucky for me, the Pawmi in the area are super low level, which made catching them in matching balls even easier. For the first Pawmi, I went for it in my only Dream Ball, and with a critical capture, I was incredibly lucky to get it on the first throw. This was the first 2 shiny team members down. By an absolute miracle, we managed to get the second Pawmi within the next 20 minutes, and this time we caught it in a heal ball. With the first 3 team members complete, it was time to move on to the second part of my team, the Shiny Greedent, Shiny Great Tusk, and Shiny Pelipper. The first Pokemon we hunted from this group was the Pelipper. I had seen that there was a place out in the ocean where you could isolate hunt for Pelipper if you used the right sandwich, but I was interested to see if this place actually worked. Any water hunts in this game are usually some of the most difficult as the water makes it harder to see, the Pokemon can dive down and despawn, and water makes the game run like my PC in 1999. Absolutely shite. We headed off into the autumn forest to make our first sandwich so we could give the isolation hunt our best shot. Once we'd eaten the sandwich, we yeeted ourselves off the cliff and into the ocean. This spot is incredibly difficult to find, and without any landmarks, it makes it even harder to reset the Pelipper in the right place. I tried this hunt for hours and hours with no luck. Gyarados and Kilowattrel would constantly spawn and block the spawn of the Pelipper, so as it became night, I gave up on this spot and found a new method. Now, I never said that I could hunt the first stage and evolve into the Pokemon I needed, so I headed down to the beach, armed with another sandwich, and found my shiny in no time. The only issue was I'd also just captured a new shiny Scizor that I forgot to teach False Swipe to, and there was no way I was risking failing this shiny after everything I'd been through to find it. After an easy hunt, we finally had our 4th member. A few cheeky rare candies later, and we had our amazing looking shiny Pelipper. Next up, we got incredibly lucky and found a Greedent outbreak super quickly, so it was time to go postal on some squirrels. What I haven't shown in this video is this was actually the 9th time attempting an outbreak hunt for a Greedent with no luck. I'd use sandwiches, I'd use the outbreak method, everything I did didn't matter, I never found the shiny, so I was super excited when I finally found this pale girl. After a quick false swipe and critical capture, the shiny Greedent was finally mine. With 5 out of the 6 shiny Pokemon captured, we shifted our attention to my favourite of all the shinies, shiny Great Tusk. Great Tusk is a little different to the rest of the hunts, as we needed to head to Area 0 to be able to hunt him. This also means that you have to make a sandwich above Area 0 before heading down into the area. This means that you need to be as quick as possible to keep as much time on the timer as possible. Lucky for us, Great Tusk immediately spawn as you cross over into the cave. The amount of Great Tusks that spawn here is crazy, which means you need to keep an eye out at all times as they can spawn behind you. So we slowly made our way down to this bridge so we could go hunt in our isolation spot. This method is super easy, as all we need to do is run back and forth until it spawns, which after only 10 minutes it did. I couldn't believe my luck, and even better, the shiny Great Tusk also had a mark. One thing I did forget is that Paradox Pokemon are harder to catch and a much higher level than Pokemon in the overworld, generally. So I used my Terror to make sure I could tank a few more hits, plus I wanted to flex the Bug and Shiny Sizzle Green combo. After a few more false swipes, the shiny Great Tusk was finally ours, and with that the entire team was captured and we're ready to take on the tournament. My squad had assembled outside the main gates and was ready to take on the challenge. In our first round, we were to take on the Giga Chad himself, Sagaro. He opened up with a Pachirisu and I opened up with my first Pawmi. I had high hopes for Pawmi, but immediately was smacked for half my health, before promptly being stomped and thrown out the back. Next up though was Great Tusk, who managed to get a dodge off before smacking the Pachirisu out of here. For the tournament I wanted to have set rules for myself, so I can't change my Pokemon after knocking out another, which meant that sometimes I made massive mistakes, but I managed to also take out the Goodra, meaning we were currently up by 1 and looking good. This was until I could barely do any damage to Alcremie and they destroyed my Great Tusk with a Giga Drain. I decided to bring out my Shinx as the next Pokemon, hoping that I could get a Paralyze off. This didn't happen, and I barely did any damage, and it resulted in another KO for Alcremie. Things were starting to look bad. We only had 3 Pokemon left and Palapa was up next. I was hoping that with a quick Terror I'd be able to even this fight a little bit, but Alcremie continued to tank hits until the second Air Slash finally took it out. Vespiquen was up next, which looked like an easy win, but I thought I'd better heal up just in case before going for another Air Slash. This took out Vespiquen, and I started to get hopeful that maybe I could win this round. I went for another Roost to try and stay in the fight before using a Tailwind to try and set up the rest of the team. But even with Tailwind, I managed to get outsped, which completely changed the fight as I only had 2 weak Pokemon left. I threw out Pawmi in the hope that he could do something, but he was immediately KO'd, and I was on my last legs. Greedent was my only hope. Greedent managed to get a Paralyze off from a Body Slam, which basically saved this fight. With another Body Slam and another tanked hit, we finally ended this fight. The last up was Hatterene, who was ready to Terror up. Hatterini opened up with a calm mind to increase their special attack before absolutely destroying my Greedent. That was it, the fight was over, and after all the time I put in, I was absolutely fuming. That's it for today's video though, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. These videos take a huge amount of time and effort, so if you're interested in more content like this, please hit the subscribe button. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.